Hey guys, welcome back to this YouTube channel. If it's your first time tuning in, my name is Salvador Brigman and I run the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast and also the blog crowdcrux.com. So basically I talk a lot about crowdfunding and Kickstarter, Indiegogo, these other sites. And I'm actually doing these YouTube videos as sort of a new thing. Like I'm really trying to get better at creating high quality content for you guys. Like it could go changing up my background so that it's more interesting and even just having some better lighting. I'm still experimenting with that and trying to get like the best quality lighting for these videos. And I also want to share, as I am growing as an entrepreneur and hitting milestones that to me are just like very significant, things I myself am celebrating, I also want to share these with you. In this episode of the podcast that I did recently with John Lee Dumas. John Lee Dumas, if you don't know, is an award-winning podcaster. He's the founder of EO Fire. His business does, millions of dollars a year in revenue. And he also did this like coming from nothing. Like he has, very little experience before that in the internet marketing realm. And he grew this podcast where he interviews entrepreneurs 7 days a week. Like I do twice a week for my podcast, and I think that's like a lot. So he does it 7 days per week. Man, that's making me tired. Just think about it. But he really built this just incredible podcast, which has won awards, which is very popular, one of the top podcasts out there. And I had the privilege, me, like little old me, in this room, with my podcasting setup. You can't really see it there. I had the privilege of interviewing him. It was a very big deal for me. I was very nervous. I was like fanboying a bit. He's even like on my Snapchat, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to say. But I actually did manage to get coherent thoughts out there, to ask him some very poignant questions, to really dig in deeply to understand how he raised nearly $500,000 on Kickstarter and what he did right that is also working now. So like what other people could take and apply to their own campaigns. I really only want to share 2 takeaways with this YouTube video because I don't want it to be too long. This is more of me just sharing like a big moment in my life. But the first takeaway was the degree of preparation that went into his campaign, specifically with regards to the email list. He really worked hard to build up that email list months and months in advance of launching his Kickstarter, which led him to just smash his goal, like have massive success and do really well, which helped obviously get that momentum going so that he could then continue to do well. So that email list that he built, he did obviously tease these people as they subscribed. He would send them regular emails. He would just tease the content for the campaign, get them to participate in some ways, voting on various things, etc. And if you do want to, listen to the conversation we had where I really went in depth with what he did, you can go to Crowdfunding Demystified on Google, or you can go to my blog, crowdcrux.com, or the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast in iTunes, and you can listen to episode number 118. The launch strategy, I think it is, that John Lee Dumas used to raise, and it's like, I don't know, $450,000 on Kickstarter, like some ginormous sum. And even it was in a publishing category, which the publishing category is actually a lot harder than other categories to raise money for on Kickstarter. So he actually did a really great job. I think he's in like the top 10 of all time publishing campaigns also at the time I am recording this. But the other thing I want to mention that I took away from interviewing this man was the level of dedication that he had was very unprecedented. He has a tremendous ability to just like focus in on one thing and really make that project a part of his life. He basically made this campaign a part of his life, a part of his brand, and he would mention it on various social channels. He'd mention it on his website. He would really make it something that he was consciously working towards every single day. And that level of focus, that level of dedication really paid off in a huge way when he actually did launch. And then it allowed him to raise, again, like nearly $500,000 on Kickstarter. Very cool. I felt privileged to interview the man. And I also, listening back on the podcast, I was just like, wow, I can't believe I actually was able to respond to these things and like ask him intelligent questions and even be coherent. Like, I'm really surprised at how I've grown as a podcaster, because you listen to my first podcast, they're not something to like talk about. They're really awkward and I don't sound very confident, even though I've been talking about crowdfunding since 2012. So I have a lot of experience in the industry, but when I first started my podcast, I was nowhere near as confident. Again, if you guys want to check it out, you can go to the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast in iTunes and listen to episode number 118, and you can hear me talking with John Lee Dumas of EO Fire. Thank you for tuning into this episode, and I'll see you next time.